Are we back?
I think so.
Oh, I've been sitting up here for 6 months
Holy.
wondering where you guys were.
Yeah. It's been a little busy.
Boy, it's just us now, huh?
Just us.
All right.
So let's.
Sounds good to me. I think we should dive in. It sounds like we're going to do something all new, all different.
All new, all different. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Arcade Comics Podcast. I am your host, Craig Ray, and this is...
Shayne Pace. Can I call myself the co-host?
Absolutely.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Co-host Shayne Pace.
How's everybody doing?
So this is the new permanent fixture on the podcast. It's going to be me and Shayne. We're going to have guests and such moving forward as far as the format staying the same in that regard. Have creative talent and things like that, but we're switching things up a little bit.
This is the gritty reboot that you guys have asked for.
Absolutely. So I'm feeling a little rusty, but, you know, we decided that the best way to kick back into this is to do a recollection.
Shake off the dust sometimes. So best way to do it is just to do it.
Just do it, and we're doing it with a best of 2023 list.
We're going to count down our top 10 favorite comics of the year.
And I've also named 10 comics. I did. This was such a hard thing for me. I mean, for people that
it was hard for me to narrow it down.
Right.
That's all.
It wasn't a difficult task coming up with 10. It was who makes that list and who doesn't.
I have a long and varied honorable mentions. How was your 2023, Craig? I found out that a very close friend was a nefarious villain bent on total destruction, but more about that person later in the show. Something to look forward to, everybody.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. My year was fine. Still slinging comics. We did the store's looking different as far as like complete redesign on
nice new layout.
The floor layout.
More natural flow.
Issues. Yeah, for sure. So in that regard, things are going great. We have an exciting upcoming year. Like we've already been talking. This is a show about 2023, but I do want to touch on how Marvel absolutely out of the gate decided 2024 was going to be...
Yeah, well, they got to come out swinging because they haven't written too many books I'm all that interested in lately, but it looks like they're back with a vengeance with their heavy hitter, of course, Jonathan Hickman, but more about that at the end of the show.
For sure.
But we're in that liminal space between 2023 and 2024 being the Janus of the new year. I think it's a good time to look back. And an even better time to look forward. So,
you want to start with number 10? Your number 10? You want me to go?
Why don't we just dive into it? First, as per usual, I'm going to rattle off some honorable mentions, if that's all right.
Sure.
Some that I just want to throw out because there were two. If we did a top 25, it would have been a little bit easier. But I have a Penguin by Tom King, which came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Nobody was clamoring for a Tom King solo book, and then this comes along and it's just terrific. Tom King, he's doing his thing here, and I think it really, really matches up the content with the creator on this one. He's bringing back some C and D list villains that tickle me to no end, and if anybody here is a fan of the Outsiders run of the 80s, you're gonna love it too.
And we talked about this the other day. As far as I think that's probably the number one book as far as like. Didn't go on polls initially, but people picking up that first issue, just trying it out. And
word of mouth has got to be because it's not just it's so well written, but it also shows how dangerous Penguin is. Penguin has always been kind of a buffoon, kind of the
sure,
and I love Burgess Meredith, but he was never intimidating on that show.
Sure.
But this Penguin, you see, like this is the criminal, the king of the criminal underworld in Gotham, and this is the kind of guy that what does it take? What does it take to run crime in Gotham of all places? You have to be just a monster, and that's what this is showing us. Penguin is with that veneer of decorum that he presents as a gentleman, but he is nothing of the sort. So it's been great so far. It's only on issue 5, so. Plenty of time to catch up. Second is Parker Girls by Terry Moore. This is in his Strangers in Paradise universe that also encompasses Motor Girl, and Echo, and Rachel Rising, and Serial. Then, of course, there's Saga, which came back. I don't think it's got the popularity it used to have, but it is, as far as the quality, it has not dropped off one bit. It's different, but it's just as great as it always was.
I'm really sad about that one too. I mean, as far as like the break just feels like
you can't take 5 years off of much and come back and be fine.
Yeah.
It's too bad because the book's still great.
Absolutely.
Ice Cream Man, my a perennial favorite. A lot of these didn't make the list just because like you're so used to them being good, you kind of take it for granted. But Ice Cream Man stayed stellar this year. So did What's the Furthest Place from Here by Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss. Shazam by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. It's just the most fun. They're both having the time of their lives. And again, talk about somebody who's just two people perfectly suited for the material. And then the last is the Great British Bump Off by John Allison. He had written Giant Days for Boom a few years ago. And it's just fun. It's a murder mystery at a British baking show. So as the series, it's only 6 issues, and as it goes on, you're wondering both who the murderer is and who's going to win the baking competition. So if it doesn't sound like it's up your alley, then you don't go down the right alleys. And then a couple. I have 3, if I may, if you will indulge me, constant listener. I have 3 official 11s. One is a graphic novel called Roaming by Mariko and Julian Tamaki. About a road trip gone wrong, getting 3 young people going to New York, and it's just that feeling of like when you're on a road trip and you're in a place like you sleep over in a place that's not your own, and you're with people that you maybe don't necessarily know that well, but you're all trying to have the same good time. It's that, like when you wake up in a different place and you get ready. The rest of the day, it never just feels the same as it does when you get ready in your own bathroom at home. There's just if you will, it captures that feeling. Also, one of our favorites of the year, Silent Night by Jeff Parker.
It was fantastic.
4 issues about Santa Claus asking the DC heroes to help him defeat Krampus and save Christmas. And you're thinking, well, that sounds fun, but it doesn't sound, like one of the best comics of the year. And lo and behold, it was exactly that.
Absolutely was. Like, that was a book that had, it wasn't really solicited as such. It was kind of solicited. It would be super easy to interpret it as, oh, this is one of those Christmas time anthology books, which I'm grateful that they do that.
I love those. Yeah, and DC's they famously do those throughout the years.
Santa Claus covers and the whole thing.
Yeah, and they do great at them. So you get to see your favorite DC heroes in that universe.
But this one was a legit.
It was a story, and Jeff Parker wrote these and every DC character acted the way they would. Damian Wayne being the particular standout, the through line of the whole thing, because he is the most skeptical on the outside, but we all know he's an absolute marshmallow on the inside. Yep. Yeah, and he just can't believe that Santa is real. And of course, none of the DC characters know that Santa. They're all surprised except for who?
Bruce.
Exactly. First issue, when Santa Claus shows up,
like, what's up, Chris?
He's like, yep, and he's like,
awesome.
It's like, Batman, I need your help. Like, of course, Bruce knows Chris Kringle. So it was a stellar book, and it ended. Right after Christmas, but it gave me all.
It was one a week during the month of December. It was perfect.
It was a great release schedule, and it was really great. I can't wait to reread it next year. And when I get older and have children, we're not going to read The Night Before Christmas anymore. We're going to read Silent Night by Jeff Parker,
and that was another one.
All the voices
from the perspective of the shop. That aspect of it, that was one where it was a sleeper. Like, it started off with like just a few people pulling it, and
nobody expected to be that good.
And then it completely, it accelerated to where by the end we were doing reorders and stuff if we could, and it's just a great book. And the art was, the
art was terrific. A small gripe is his means of conveyance was a Prancer for speed and power, but if any of the reindeer, that's what you're going for, you're going to take Blitzen out there into the field. We're not going to take Prancer.
That's canon. Everybody knows that.
Prancer. I don't have them offhand, but the reindeer are named different things in different languages, specifically German. But all of those names are very German. Blitzen.
Sure.
But anyway, and then my last one, if it's another graphic novel called Impossible People. It's by Julia Wirtz, who is a cartoonist, and this is a book about her, making a living as a cartoonist while she's trying to get clean from alcohol. So it's a real fun book, as you can imagine. It's one of those, it goes into that great, there's a great tradition of like cartoonists making books about their lives as cartoonists. Like Adrian Tomine did the long distance cartoons a few years ago.
Lonely at the Center of the Earth.
Lonely at the Center of the Earth, absolutely. And Genuine Lang, Dragon Hoops is a lot of that. And then of course, it all goes back to Harvey Pekar with American Splendor. So there's a great like tradition of doing that, and this is the latest in a great thing like that. So she writes and draws, and it's very personal. And at the end, I'm not quite sure I agree with where she ended, but I love the journey. It was great to like see like this is a cartoonist, and like that job is just as hard as yours, you know. Mm-hmm. And also she does the opposite of what. So I have this thing against like people who like artists who think that, you know, we should be treated differently because we're artists. Like, she doesn't have. No, you shouldn't. And she does. She doesn't put on any airs like that.
I mean, like
it's a job. Yeah, like it's a no. You shouldn't. You should be treated the same as like, you know, a lumberjack.
Sure.
Which yeah. So those were three great books that I just wanted to get in because it was such a great year for comics. So you know that the 10 are going to be solid.
I didn't prepare anything official like you had just now, but I have to throw Night Fever in there by Drew Baker.
Yep, absolutely.
And Phillips.
So the latest classic from them.
It was a break from the Reckless series, and that was by design.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a nice palate cleanser for both.
It was great, and it was fun because I remember the funniest part about it was like Phillips specifically asked for it to take place somewhere where he knew the architecture, so he didn't have to like do all the research and stuff like that.
And that came through though too, because you know everything was rendered. He never phones it in, but the art was just on point, and it also had to convey like the night,
right?
And how that feels, and how weird, how everything has a different like lilt to it in the evening time, especially when you're in environs that you've never been in, and there's just that air of danger. And he had to convey that through art, you know?
When you read the book, it had to be that way because it had to feel like a completely different. It's designed in that way where the daytime is this life, and in the nighttime, it's a completely different one.
Absolutely, I've heard comparisons to Eyes Wide Shut. I don't think it reaches that level of brilliance, and also I don't think quite that these people are rich enough to go to the Eyes Wide Shut party. I think where he's at, they're a tier under, but it was such a great book, and I suggest everybody who hasn't read it go out and pick it up.
Yep, absolutely. So I think we can get into the official 10. You want to do that at this point? Good, or do you want to?
Yeah, we're humming along.
All right.
Do you want to start? Because I've just been talking everybody's ear off. I think they're.
I will start. Sure.
Okay. And we're going to go 10-1. We're going to go back and forth.
Sure. My number 10, and it's number 10. It is very well could end up further on the list in 2024. This is a new book. We only have 2 issues. It is Beneath the Trees. And
talk about one that blew up.
I had to put this on the list. Okay, I'm sorry. Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees by Patrick Horvath. If you're involved in comics, you're probably well aware of this book and you're trying to find a copy. But there's a good reason for this one. It is not hype. I'm just going to come out and say it. This is why I guess I identified with it so much. Like, if you've listened previously or if you know me, I was a huge fan of Stray Dogs when it came out. And it has there's the whole animal aspect, which I love. And then what played into Stray Dogs was the art style was kind of Disney-ish, but then it had that horror element to it that made it truly terrifying. And all of that mixed together was the full package.
Just as there is a genre unto itself of mouse fiction, like Bev Cleary's books or Mouse Guard and Great Mouse Detective, there's a growing and I think very welcome genre of animal murderer books.
Right.
And this is one of those, and that's not cheap. If it's done as well as this, like Stray Dogs and this are fantastic books. Because
the art style on this is kind of like one part Berenstein Bears and like the Richard Scarry universe, right? And then story-wise, it's still that whole serial.
You think you're reading an Arthur book, and then
yeah. So then you come across pages where like you see a scowl, and you're like, that doesn't feel right. And then you see something more graphic, and you're like, this really doesn't feel right. So I had to put it down at 10 because it's made a huge impact on me. But we are 2 issues in. They've been fantastic issues. Like everything about this book.
I would be remiss if it didn't make this list somewhere. Yeah, it was. You put me onto it. I didn't know, and then I read it. And wow,
it's fantastic.
Couldn't wait for the second one. Can't wait for the third. It's a great book.
And from the shop perspective, it was a shock too. So this is an IDW book. So it's a original. It's not
finally
something that's
a win for those guys.
It was fully returnable. So every shop had the opportunity, during final order cutoff to order, thousands of these things and have them returnable. And I don't know where everybody ended up with numbers, but we didn't order a huge amount of this book, but we did okay. But
And now,
went into a second.
now they're hard to find.
Now they're hard to find. You're already looking at a second print. They're probably looking at a third print because I just looked it up yesterday, and it's not about the spec, but a first printing is going between $50 and $75. A second printing is already going for around $15 to $20. So that, I mean, they're probably going to be an additional printing on this. The trade's going to go absolutely nuts. But my number 10 is Beneath the Trees Where No One Sees by Patrick Horvath. And if you can get your hands on it, or if you know somebody that will let you read their copy, absolutely get in on this book.
Yeah. I suggest you read it to your kids. Let them know what kind of world they're in for. No free rides. For my number 10, this was a ongoing series that just ended in November with issue 29 that I had not been reading. I discovered it. I read every single issue in a day or two. I couldn't put it down. It's Time Before Time by Declan Shalvey and Rory McConville with art by Joe Palmer. Declan Shalvey is somebody who I know primarily as an artist, not as a writer. I know he did Old Dog, which was good, but this just blew me out of the water. The setup being that there's this kind of a seedy mob related organization that can, for the right price, can take you anywhere in time. Like if you're running from the law, or if you just you think life was better this year, if you pay enough, they can smuggle you to a time in the past and drop you off, and then that's where you go. And it's like that alone is a great idea. But then the people that chauffeur them, that's their job. These two decide, we don't want this life anymore. We're gonna do one last one. We're gonna go hide in the past ourselves, and it goes awry. As you can imagine, it goes 29 issues. They get hijacked. You find out like this one woman wants to go back and find her family because she went back, but they went without her. Once she finds them, it's not really what they thought. But like you see, like how family is formed, but it's the people around you. It's the family. Family is what you make, not who you're born with. That's what the conceit is, and it's so well done. It's so well told. And I was thinking like Craig, if you could go back any time, where would you go? I was thinking that I would go back and kill baby Hitler, but my luck, I would just kill some random baby, and I'd be like on the run for infanticide. So I think I'd go back to 2012 and kill J.J. Abrams, so he would never make Star Wars. What? Yeah. Well, I mean, like, what's the next biggest tragedy that I could stop? And that's that. So
for those of you wondering how we were coming back, Shayne hasn't reevaluated Rise of Skywalker.
I've been up here alone with nothing else. I'm just thinking about Rise of Skywalker.
Oh man. If that's an honest question,
yeah.
Go back in time. Man, there's some books I really would like.
I could say I'd go back and beg her to stay, but that would be a downer for everybody at home.
Mine's more simple because I've been thinking about this a lot actually because the story comes up quite a bit in the shop, and that is an opportunity at the ripe young age of, I believe, 12 or 13 to pick up Incredible Hulk 181 for Christmas, for my Christmas present for $200. And I opted to get 10 $20 books instead, like an idiot. 4 of those books are the Frank Miller, Wolverine mini, so those have done okay. One of them is Uncanny 268, that iconic Jim Lee cover with Black Widow.
Oh, yes.
So I didn't do too terrible there. However, what it's done is it's cemented that I will not buy a copy of Incredible Hulk 181 unless it's for under $200. And that ship has sailed.
Good luck on that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I wanted to stop World War II. You wanted a comic. Good. What's your number 9?
Hey, there's no guarantees it would have stopped anything, all right? But yeah, I mean, it's comics podcast, man. I'm allowed to.
Absolutely. No, that's a great answer. I do hope that one day you find that book. But I would argue it's a better cover. The Jim Lee cover is.
Oh, for sure.
I love that cover.
I love it.
Black Widow looking great.
Yep.
But yeah, 9 on your end.
So I kind of cheated on this one. This one snuck in, and I told you this earlier. And we'll get to ultimately, you guys will all understand when we get to the end of the episode. But my number 9 is Ultimate Invasion, Ultimate Universe, which is the one shot that followed Ultimate Invasion. Jonathan Hickman and Brian Hitch. And I cannot, it was a good book. It's Jonathan Hickman. We've talked about him before. He's a world builder, but he's more than that. His character moments, everything. It's just fantastic. So Ultimate Invasion, knowing that it was leading into there being a relaunch of the Ultimate Universe, like who other person's hands would you put that in? Mm-hmm. Jonathan Hickman's the answer.
Absolutely.
I think it was well executed. I had a lot of fun. It was amazing hanging out with Maker again.
And this was a late edition because of
Yes.
which
This is a late edition because at the end we'll touch on it a little bit.
but yeah. But it is a great book in its own right, and a great addendum to his Avengers Secret Wars.
That's the part I wanted to focus in on, is talk about this. Is everything he does, you are not penalized for having not read his stuff, but you are rewarded if you have.
Absolutely.
And there's something about that is magical in the way that things have moved along with comics, and everything moves very quickly. There's a lot more books than there ever was. Like, you have to choose between your time and your money and distribute it, because books cost a little bit more than they used to, and nobody can read everything. There's not enough time. I know you're trying, Shayne, but there's a few out there.
We'll see what we can do. But and you feel you get your money's worth.
Yes,
you get a book every time you read. You get a full meal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you read his X-Men, if you read Secret Warriors, if you read Fantastic Four, if you read Avengers, you recognize things in Ultimate Invasion and Ultimate Universe. You were like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. He's been playing the long game.
Yes.
For a long time.
And he might just, for all I know, this guy's up here like on some random Tuesday. He's like, oh, wait, I could bring that back. Or it could always be part of the plan. It always looks like it's part of the plan, and that's part of the magic.
Yeah.
So that's my number 9. I mean, I picked, I kind of went out of my way here to pick some mainline books instead of the pretentious shit I know you're going to come up with. So
yeah.
So
no, we're gonna have some fun. It's fun.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
Like, for my number 9, for instance, is the current Fantastic Four run by Ryan North,
There you
and
go.
art by mostly Iban Coelho. Ryan North, who again made his bones with Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, taking her from obscurity to one of my favorite Marvel characters. That run was peerless. Ryan North, also a resident genius, as anyone will attest who knows him. He is a
software engineer.
Yeah, and he's very well versed in physics as well. Also, his dog, who just passed last October, was named Noam Chomsky, and that kind of cleverness gets a big shout out from me. This book, though, again, like, talk about full meals. There's only been one book connecting, like, one issue.
They've been one-offs except for one,
They've
two
all
issue,
been one-offs,
right?
and each one is so self-contained and each one tells such a great Fantastic Four story on its own. And we're up to, I believe, 15 now, and it's terrific. And there was kind of an overarching arc where that just got settled. I won't tell you how it turned out, but New York's safe. But Reed, there's an attack, and Reed had to disappear the Baxter Building to keep everybody in it safe. So he had to remove it from time and space, but when he returns it, he has to return it to time and space. You can't just put it back at the same place at the same time. Like, well, the Earth's rotating and blah, blah, blah. Like, if I bring it back now, it'll just be in an empty void, amongst the nebula of the stars. Like, it's so well thought out, but also fun. Hickman does it a little bit more elegantly, but give Ryan North a few years and he's going to be on that level.
But he's got excellent character moments as well.
Oh my, absolutely.
He takes very good care of Marvel's first family.
Very, very much so. And they've been getting so much love in the last few years after a hiatus. And it couldn't be more welcome. And also he's also the perfect voice for Reed, but boy does he get Ben Grimm perfectly.
Yep.
And Johnny has a great mustache that he will not cut, and I think it looks great. I don't think he should. So that's my number 9.
All right, so my number 8 is Gargoyle of Gotham by Raphael Grandpa. That was actually, it was a Batman Day release. So this actually book is this is just for funsies. It was released on a Saturday, and we're up to issue 2. It's just it's a Black Label book. It's gritty. Art wise, I can't help but there's the Paul Pope vibes that it gives off.
Absolutely.
And it's the whole package.
That's a great compliment to his art.
Absolutely. And they do the release simultaneous where it's got the normal book and they've got like a noir version. And it's like, this makes perfect sense. Yeah. Like, you have to have the noir version where it's all those shades, but it's a, I don't know what else to say. It's just
I'm
a gritty Batman, violent.
I don't know if we ever talked about this, but if you've not ever read Batman 100 by Paul Pope, that would be a great companion piece. Now that I'm thinking about it,
absolutely
great. Same vibe, yeah. But no, it's a great book. Batman's been shining this year. We'll have to touch on that finally. Batman gets some love.
It's about time.
It's about time. Let's do a discursive right there. Batman, because Detective
is
almost
fantastic.
made my list, and that's the Great Ram V, and he's doing. Is it on your list? Spoiler. Detective?
It is not.
Okay,
Detective.
great. We can talk about Detective.
Yep.
And he set out to do he was going to do a full opera.
Yep.
So there's been the intermezzos, the nocturnes,
And he's doing it.
arias, and he's doing it, and it's not pretentious, because when you write well, you can do that. And it's so far it's been terrific, and he has made. I am so excited. I tell people that come in here all the time, like, he has made Azrael badass.
Yep.
And you guys all know
We've
Azrael.
talked about
He's
it
not,
before, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been terrific. So I've been excited to read that each week when it comes out, and I'm sorry to hijack that, but yeah, Batman.
And it's maintained its popularity from the store standpoint. Again, it turned into a weekly book. We don't have any drop off. Nobody's been like, oh, I'm not interested in this anymore.
Yeah.
It's gone up. So
people coming in here now with blazers and pipes, like, I'd like the new Detective, please.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the mainline Batman and Detective are both amazing quality, but serving completely different purposes, and they're both knocking it out of the park.
Absolutely.
Killer.
So yeah, that character's being well served. Well, then that leads to my number 8, and this is one that it started at number 10, and it's just kept moving up the more I think about it, and that is Wonder Woman Historia.
Yep.
By Kelly Sue DeConnick, and it's 4 long chapters. I think they're each about like 40 or 50 pages,
Yeah.
with art by one artist respectively for each one. Phil Jimenez does the first 2, then Gene Ha, then Nicola Scott, and they all do. These are 3 of the greatest artists working, and this is the best work they've ever done. We've
It's an art book.
it is an art book,
insanely
but
beautiful.
Don't sleep on the story. The story.
No, I know.
Because I see this online. People reviewing it. It's like the writing is terrific.
It is.
But it was there. It was always intended to be an art book, and it is to Kelly Sue DeConnick's credit that I was very interested in the story.
Yes.
Because the story could have been garbage, and Mark Millar could have written it, and I would still be fine turning the pages because they look.
Sure.
It looked so amazing, and between Daniel Warren Johnson's Dead Earth last year, and then with the new Tom King run, again, it's like Batman. It's like, we said that in all facetiousness, but with Wonder Woman, she finally is getting her due for one of the Trinity, one of the great characters.
Always
in
been
fiction.
a Trinity, but it feels like it now.
She's finally getting her due, and Wonder Woman Historia is, I think, it's a great jumping on point.
It is.
And it's a great celebration. It's a great story while being a great celebration of the character. So
and even if you're not even super into the Wonder Woman element, like if you like the Mount Olympus, all of the pantheon of gods part of it, it's very entrenched in that, and it's beautiful.
If 4 or 5 years when the aliens come and they sift through the wreckage of our times, and they find just this book, they will think, oh, this is one of their gods because of how this book is written and drawn. That's how well put together it is, and that's how well it treats the characters. So,
and I feel like, and I'm gonna take this opportunity. Unfortunately, /fortunately, with most of these Black Label books, I feel like they somewhat get slept on because of the format. Like, it's something as petty as like, I don't have a box for this, or
Yeah, well, for me at first it was anger at they got rid of Vertigo.
Sure.
But it turns out every single book they've written, minus Superman versus Lobo, has been like a 10 out of 10. They've been so good consistently. So I'm all on the Black Label chain.
For sure. Agreed. So
You got 8. Wait, you got 7.
I'm at number 7.
That's
now.
how numbers work.
Okay. My number 7 actually has previously showed up on the podcast because it was a book that we had spoken about in anticipation of it coming out, being excited at that point where we had done it in June with a book that released in August, and that is The Sacrificers by Rick Remender.
Oh, whoa, wow.
And Max Fiumara.
A great book.
It is a fantastic book. This is up there for me. It may not resonate with you so much. I'm not saying that it doesn't. However, for this one, it really gets to me because it's another one. So, keeping with the theme, it's another anthropomorphic, like animal / character book. Like I love that. I identify it for whatever reason. I like those books, but overall, without spoiling anything, because the journey is so much fun. Society is ruled by gods, and there's sacrifices have to be made, by these families have to sacrifice a child, and then that's basically what keeps everything in this perfect society. So you get to, the gods, the characters, and you find out it's not so perfect and everything's kind of a lie and whatever. But the journey's been amazing. But the reason this one really messes with me as a dad, because I put myself in the first issue specifically even is completely heartbreaking, because I put myself in that guy's position, and I'm like, it's like, choose one of your children. You don't have one child, you have 5. Pick one. Just from that aspect, I'm just kind of like, I wouldn't choose. It's just like a weird thing for me. So on an emotional level, it really, really, I don't know. It just makes me feel, but the art and everything is fantastic. It's a great story. This is another one where it started off kind of lukewarm, and we've got more and more pulls because people read it, and it's
that's great.
Rick
And it is
Remender at its finest.
it's a little different than what Remender usually does.
Yes.
Aside from the constant of him writing great books, but he really writes for the artists, and the artists are always terrific. And Fumiero's art on this is incredible, and it's another one of it's another one of those Eat the Rich books that we've seen recently, but done in such a better way.
Yeah,
that is great. If I had kids, I don't think I'd have any problem.
Choosing,
ordering them. Yeah, I'm gonna judge each one on their merit as they come out. So, ladies, formerly Q, but no, it is Sacrifice is a great book. One more in his giant generator stack, and I can't wait for the oversized hardcover.
And we talked about this too, where I think we both feel similarly in that his most longest ongoing book, Deadly Class, is probably
my
least favorite book thing that he's done.
And I love seeing kids kill kids, but
sure,
it's like I've seen it enough, and it was so, I don't know, it was so mean. I read it. I read every issue, and it kept me engaged. It just wasn't my favorite. It wasn't. I didn't see it being the hit that it was. I still think that his we'll talk about this on a later episode, but I still think Black Science is my favorite that he's ever done. But no, The Sacrificers is a great book.
So
one thing he doesn't sacrificers is quality.
What's your number 7?
Took me 6 months to come up with that. My number 7, and some might think it's anathema to put this in front of the current Fantastic Four, but it is She-Hulk by Rainbow Rowell.
I'm glad that you put that on your list, because I felt guilty for not putting it on mine.
For somebody who's not thrilled with much of Marvel's output nowadays, Sensational She-Hulk is the first thing that I read each week that it comes out. She's working with various artists, but Jen Bartel has done every cover.
Fantastic covers. And
this has been so aside from the first 17 or 19 issue run, where she was introduced before John Byrne took her over and fixed her, I don't think there's ever been a bad She-Hulk run to me. I've read every issue, I think, of her solo titles, and I love all of them. She's one of my favorite Marvel characters. This is by far, outside of the Byrne run, my favorite thing that she's done, and it's just because you're hanging out with your friend, and she's going through her trials and travails, and it pays equal amount of time to being a lawyer, to being a superhero, but also to being like a pal. She hangs out with Jessica Drew and Jessica Jones. Jessica Drew, another one of my absolutely favorite characters, and you just see what's it like to be the She-Hulk on a regular.
And a lot of people's probably first introduction to Jack of Hearts,
and bringing back Jack of Hearts, who was when he first showed up, I'm like, is that Jack of Hearts?
Right.
From the, okay.
And then he just didn't leave the book.
And he didn't leave the book, and you didn't want him to. And he knows what you think of him. He knows how you feel. Rainbow did a great job of doing this. She's the one that she wrote The Runaways a few years ago, and then she wrote a book with Faith Erin Hicks, who was going to show up later, called, I think, Pumpkinheads. Mm-hmm. And so she's been on my list. Pumpkinheads by Faith Erin Hicks and Rainbow Rowell. So she's been on my radar, and it's not until now that I'm like, that I can see Rainbow Rowell is definitely somebody to whatever she does next. I can't wait. But as of right now, like, just having a great time with She-Hulk every month has been a pleasure.
And they did. This is just one of those, I feel like, editorial games. It's now Sensational She-Hulk at number 4 that's coming out next week.
Absolutely. But
the end, they just did a renumbering.
It sold so well that they're like, well, let's renumber it. And also, it gives me Squirrel Girl and Howard the Duck vibes, not with the humor so much as just like the lighthearted, like you feel like you're hanging out with these folks.
Right.
You're just hanging out, and this is their life, and it's great.
Stakes aren't nuts. You can
Some
feel
people
good
like
about it. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to hang out with like Moon Knight for I wouldn't want to hang out with like I wouldn't want to do a ride along with Jake or I wouldn't really. My favorite character is Daredevil. I don't want to hang out with the guy, but She-Hulk, like, yeah, I would love to hang. Like, what are you doing later? And they introduced the Punch Club. So her and Ben and all the other overpowered heroes can get out some aggression without endangering lives, without endangering property, and it's just ideas like that. It's a great book. I suggest everybody pick it up. There's 2 trades that'll get you caught up, and then you can come right on to the new series, and
it's good stuff.
Yeah, so that's my 7.
This brings me to number 6. This is things start getting really, really hard and really painful for me here. So my number 6.
Craig, I'm going to top myself off here, and if you're thinking, man, you only made it 5 days into your New Year's resolution, I'm going to say, no, I only made it 3. Anyway, number 6?
Number 6, I have Transformers by Daniel Warren Jones.
Again, absolutely. I'm glad somebody put it on the list.
I knew it was going to be fun. I knew it was a match made in heaven as far as the announcement goes, and it still didn't prepare me for how well done it's been. It's been like exactly as much fun as you thought it would be, and then even a little more,
even better. And he's not reinventing the wheel, pun intended. He's not doing he's doing exactly what you want from a Transformers book, but somehow it still feels like a little bit more.
It really does.
It feels like it's not just this.
In art style, on each of these issues, it feels like he's been drawing them since he was 8 years old, and
this is the job that he always wanted, and he got it, and he's not missing it. Yeah,
and it's like, I mean,
what he wants from a Transformers book, same thing we all did.
It's exactly what we all wanted. Yep. It's like, do you want to see Optimus Prime give this other robot a suplex for no good reason? You're like, of course I do. The introduction, I mean, I can't talk about this without, discussing the Energon universe at large. Void Rivals, killing it in sales. Fantastic book.
What a sneak attack that was.
Sneak attack. And then Duke was introduced in Transformers in a very cool way, and Duke itself is very good.
The first issue, Duke, the same thing. Where it's what have you always imagined you would do with G.I. Joe? This, it just comes out of the big 8, kills it. Also, there's a as a kind of thing that we talk about in the shop. There's an Optimus Prime moment in issue 3 that I stood up while I was reading it at work. It was just like I wanted to high five somebody. I had to go find a stranger. It's just terrific, and the book is full of stuff like that.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And it doesn't pull any punches. Like doing lists like this and talking about these books. The hardest part about it when we're sitting down and doing this is I want to describe panels. Like there's a moment in number 2 where you're just like, oh, remember when? But I just encourage everybody.
And that's what you want from a Transformers book more than anything, Yes. Like, oh, and then there was this part, and then, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love the IDW. Well, I respect the IDW stories, but at a certain point, it's like, it shouldn't feel so much like work. It should be a little bit more.
There's a few, like King Grimlock, I loved that.
Yeah. No, there's some great stuff. But this right here is like, this is what I want. This is what I want.
Again, it was I don't want to say sleeper. We had a decent amount, but number of pulls doubled. It's nuts. It's awesome. Great book.
And again, these are all happening to like the good books, which makes me happy. The good comics are getting some recognition. It's great.
I cheated, and I've looked around. I tried to isolate myself. It's like I was trying to go into this without being influenced by anybody else's list, but they just pop up when the end of the year comes up, or just if I'm hanging out on YouTube, and Transformers is on everybody's list. Yeah, Transformers on everybody's list.
It's a great book. It's cool because Daniel Warren Johnson, somebody who like we mentioned earlier with Dead Earth.
Yep.
And he's coming off of last year, or he's come off of a dual power bomb. But Murder Falcon is where I first got onto him, and then between that and Jurassic League, and now this, like I can't wait. Everything the guy does, I'm there for. So that's a great. I mean,
sure.
Transformers is great.
What's your number 6, man?
My number 6, it is by our greatest living comics writer, greatest working comics writer, Alan Moore is still with us. It is Second Coming Trinity by Mark Russell and Richard Pace, no relation probably. This is the third volume, the third 6-issue run in his story about God wanting to toughen Jesus up because the first time he came here he only lasted 33 years, so he sends him down to live with essentially our Superman, and they're roommates, and they become friends, and Jesus tries to spread his his message on Earth, but it doesn't work out usually how he wants it to. Meanwhile, Superman, I can't remember the name of the character in the book, what they call him, but now he has a child, and Jesus babysits, and he's a lot of fun, as you'd imagine Jesus probably would be. But the baby is overpowered, and like Craig, you have a toddler. When you have a toddler, they scream, they can be just
irrational,
and you can't, and sometimes you can't settle them down, and I've known people who just left those kids, and they're monsters. That's the nefarious villain I mentioned earlier,
right?
She sucks, but here though it's like you have the power of a god. So when you're screaming and pounding things, you're causing actual damage. So what do you do? So it's like, do you send that son away? And then who knows more about sending a godlike son away than Jesus? And it's so it's not it again. You get out of it what you put into it. If you can be an agnostic or an atheist, or a devout believer, whatever you put in this book, you'll get out of it. It is not.
It's never preachy.
It's never preachy. It's not trying to proselytize to you. It's not
just
trying
takes
to,
the characters on all the attributes that you know about them and just tells a story.
And tells a beautiful story. And he's coming, it's gone 18 issues now, and he's a fourth series is coming this year or the next. So it's obviously got an audience, and it's just one of the best books. And I can't believe that it exists, let alone it's gone this long. But then again, I can't believe a guy like Mark Russell can continue to put out just the best books that we have nowadays. But yeah, Second Coming, I think now would be a good time to jump on it with the new series starting.
For sure.
That's my 6. Now we're into it, guys. Now we're into the top 5. Now we get to the good books, the ones we really like.
This was so hard.
If you're still here, I bet you're all thinking the same thing. Like, man, Shayne, he's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good.
It is. Yeah. That's what my mom says. She says I'm the handsomest guy in the shop.
Well, I mean,
I can tell. I can see by looking at her eyes, like, you think I'm the third.
It's probably me.
I don't like the way she looks at you, but I get it. I get it.
My number 5 is I knew I was going to like this book. I didn't know it was going to be my number 5. Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson.
You and me talk about this book, I think, more than any other book.
Yes.
Because when it comes out, it's like, oh, again, the panel-to-panel thing, like, and then this, and then what about when that happened? Yeah.
It's been, so Kelly Thompson, Leonardo Romero. However, I do have to point out in this newest issue that came out, issue 5 had an art style change. It was just, the artist just goes by Deyn. Dine, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
It is a I loved the old style. I was like, this is amazing. It fits so perfectly. But the art in this newest issue, it's not going to break my heart if it doesn't change. Like, it is a ton of fun. So, Birds of Prey, it was one of those things where, like, okay, everybody loves Birds of Prey. And then you release the lineup, and you're going to have some people like grumble. And then you're going to have other people that are like, oh, that sounds new and fun. Like, initially, Shayne, when you heard Zealot,
I was
like,
not
oh wow, that's gonna make this team even more interesting.
Yeah,
but were you wrong? It does make it more interesting.
It is, and it makes Zealot interesting, which she never really was. And she's terrific. I heard a lot of grumbling about Barda.
Yes,
and I think she might be the best part of the book.
She's
terrific. And who would have ever thought that Barda and Cassandra Cain's Batgirl would have such a friendship develop, such a bond. She calls her Little Bat. And Cassandra, they watch each other's back. They make a great team amongst other things. And then you throw in the wild card.
She's exactly who she should be, but she's also part of the comic relief.
Like, well, and then if nothing else, just do a wide panel where she's a foot taller than everybody,
right? And
she's still huddling up with the rest of the gang.
It's amazing.
And then you've got one of my absolute all-time favorite characters, number 6 actually, Dinah.
Yep.
Keeping it all together, and how do you keep these people together? Because Harley's on the team, and she just wants to do crazy things, and then they're trying to infiltrate Themyscira.
Yeah. The whole premise is like, what? How's this going to work?
Yeah. It's essentially a heist for a person. And we won't spoil it.
And I, for one, I don't know how people feel about it, but like, I am all for, there's the whole anti-hero thing. Like, I'm not as much of a fan of Venom's anti-hero journey as compared to Harley's, which feels justified as far as like she was manipulated and that's where she was. And her
and it's still taken her 30 years.
And her coming back doesn't bother me as much. Like it's this story, like Harley out of all of them, like she's the one that's like not as part of the team. Like everybody still has some reluctance, like she's Charlie, right? In It's Always Sunny.
Oh yeah.
That's the role she's playing in this book.
I like that Harley is the only one that's excited to be on the team.
Yes.
She like loves that she's part of this now. And also I want to point out though, like Harley's the one, they wouldn't be where they are without her.
Exactly.
She keeps coming up with the most ridiculous ideas, and everybody points out that, like, what? Okay, well, we don't have any other ideas, so I guess we'll do it. And so far, Harley has been the one.
Batting 1,000.
She is. It's a great. So it's a great. That's the thing. It's a great Harley book, Zealot book, Barda book, Cassandra Crane. Like, it's a great book of all of these characters, each one.
Very well written. You could tell she loves these characters.
Big shoes to fill after the like a Gail Simone run that is kind of peerless. And then she's coming off of her own Captain Marvel, which was probably the best it's ever
50
been.
50
man. Is probably the best Captain Marvel run ever. So she was definitely one to watch, and it's like she could have done anything, and she did this. So like you knew her heart was in it, and what a home run.
Well, and this year, I mean, I could talk another honorable mention. I'll just pop it in here. You heard us talking about it before. There's another one I was excited about. Black Cloak. That was 6 issues. I loved Black Cloak.
I'm glad it's coming back. At least that's the rumor. Yeah.
It was a fantastic world to be in. Like the whole murder mystery thing. Remember Saga-esque vibes? I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that at all.
But it's definitely whimsical.
Well, they're both comics.
They are both comics.
That's where it kind of is. Some
of the characters had wings, right?
I wouldn't quite even say whimsy because there's so much danger around the edges.
There is.
I still love. I just love how she wrote the mermaids.
Right.
Mermaids they're not your friends, guys.
Yeah.
And
then the Cole. I mean, she's.
Oh, that's right, the Cole. Jeez, Kelly Thompson's
She's on a tear.
The Cole is terrific. If you guys have not read it,
I'm very proud. I'm very happy that the one that I'd say is what she's, Birds of Prey, A+. I mean, it's killing it.
If that's her Cadillac ride, yeah.
There we go.
And also it's going to enable her to do more create her own, which is great.
Yep.
Because her stuff has been great. A great pick. So my number 5 is actually the only place that I cheat on this list. I had a tie, but for a reason. I picked Jonah and the Impossible Monsters by Chris Samney, which finished this year, and now you can get the entire thing in a beautiful hardcover. And then a book called Hockey Girl Loves Drama Boy by Faith Erin Hicks, who we discussed earlier. Faith, local artist in front of the show, Jeremy McFerrin and I were having a discussion. I was kind of like, the reason I think these books are thematically the same, they don't have anything in common other than that the way that like each Chris Samney writes and draws, Faith Erin Hicks writes and draws, and the way they convey movement and life, and they can emote with just because they both use very scant lines. They don't overdraw it. It's like Daniel Sampier's beautiful Wonder Woman art. It's not that. It's not that it doesn't take as much talent or effort, but it's less. And they do so much. Both are about movement. Jonah and the Impossible Monsters is these sisters who are trying to defeat these monsters, find their way home. It's a beautiful, heartwarming book that had me in tears by the end of it. Hockey Girl as Drama Boy is that's also the plot. And
right.
It's about misfits. But what's a misfit? Everybody, like they're in high school. One she's an athlete, and so she's taller than everybody. Another guy is he's gay, he's in drama, but you still get in where you fit in. You all find yourself. You all find who you're cool with. Yeah. It's a book where like bullies are not the biggest deal. If they're there, they're kind of the losers. Like, all right, man. But both books are just effortlessly fun. They make you feel great by the end of it. And it's the kind of like cartooning. I feel bad because they both probably took years for these people to complete, but it takes you like an hour or two to read the entire 300-page book. But Hockey Girl Loves Drama Boy, it's coming off of the aforementioned Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. But Faith Erin Hicks also did, last year she did a great book called Ride On, about her time riding horses when she was a kid. Somebody else, as we discussed, the test drawing horses, and she can do it with aplomb.
Drawing horses.
But then anybody at home, if you want to write Faith Erin Hicks did a trilogy of books. I talked to Jimmy about this called The Nameless City, and that is her masterpiece. But ever since then, she's done like a book every few years. She's mostly does her own thing, and this is her latest. And I had the warmest feeling when I was done with it. It's like an episode of Bob's Burgers where there's no bad guys. Even the bad guys they're not that bad. Yeah. You can see, you hope for you just hope they get better. But everybody else just want to build each other up. And at the end of it, you just felt good. So I feel very, very confidently that is a top 5 book for me. Books for me.
Sure.
4. See, that's kind of pretentious, but it wasn't too bad.
No.
It's going to get worse.
But it's going to make me feel like a real ass with my number 4 because it's as mainline as it gets.
No. It's fine.
All right. Number 4, I've got Batman by Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez.
It's a terrific book.
Man.
It's a terrific book.
I was excited about Failsafe. That ended up, I was like, man. I mean, there are 2 different types of people in this world. There is the people that are pissed off that Batman fell from space, and then there are people
that are correct.
Like, and then there are people that are like, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
The correct response is that was awesome. And he just kept it coming.
He came out swinging too with that first run. It's like, what is he going to follow this up with? Oh,
yes. So I've seen some, reviews. I don't want to spoil what goes on in the story, but like some people that we have loved and lost make appearances, but not in the way that you would think. The anniversary issue was a complete love letter to Batman. Like, I truly believe that Chip Zdarsky, if he wasn't married to his current wife, he'd be married to Batman.
What an
I would believe it.
Blast of a book. That issue was issue 900.
Yes, it was. I don't forget what the renumbering was.
It was what a fantastic,
and he's kept it going. And like, the whole Zurin Ra stuff that he's like keeps rolling with it.
He took what Grant did and built on it. He took and same with Failsafe. He took what Mark Waid did, and he's just like what the great writers should do. Like if you're locked into this continuity, then do this with it. Like this is how you do it.
And I feel like, and this is the way with. I'm discovering more and more as there are more and more independent books and things like that. There are writers that can write within canon and continuity and kill it and do a wonderful job at it. There are some writers that can do their own creative owned things, and they're fantastic writers. But they're not so great at sticking the landing or writing a book where you have to follow the rules. And Zdarsky has been on our lists, and he can do both. He can straddle that line. Like, I like public domain and the way he writes that in Stillwater just as much.
His creator owns are great, but
Daredevil and following the rules.
He can play in that sandbox. And again, anybody who can write Daredevil and Batman at the same time and not have a nervous breakdown from all the pressure.
That'd be insane.
And he does it, and he did it. Again, he did it with aplomb. It was terrific books. I think you have to keep that sense of humor he's got, or else you're gonna book. But the stuff he's done with Batman is great, and there's no end in sight, which I love.
Yep, I think he said he's had at least 2 years planned before he even.
I sure hope he gets there because it's been a great book. But the sales are there. I mean, it's terrific. And
the Jimenez are. They
make great partners.
They are an amazing team. Like I look forward to that book every month when it comes out. We're actually, the Joker Year 1 story is coming out. Mm-hmm. Batman's going to be weekly for this upcoming 3 weeks.
Yep. And also he's doing the backups now too, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic in the Failsafe run too, because it tied everything together. Like, he's got it figured out. It's good stuff.
He's got a map, and he's coming off of one of the great Daredevil runs. Maybe he's working on one of the great Batman runs. That would be something.
And just released. I have to do this as I have to plug this, but Zdarsky Spider-Man Omni.
Oh my!
With all of his stuff, the Spectacular, Spider's Shadow.
I snagged one with of the Zdarsky covers. That they went fast. People know. Chip's a known quantity at this point. Also, Capterra came back.
Yep.
And New Bern came back this year, and they are humming along
just as good as they have been.
Yeah. I love the guy. Of all the creators, I'd probably want to hang out with him the most.
Oh yeah,
he just seems like the coolest guy to hang out with.
Yep.
But speaking of a cool guy that you'd like to hang out with and unpretentious, my number 4 is Monica by Dan Clowes.
Yep.
This book, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be something different. This is the guy. If you've read Ghost World or seen the wonderful Terry Zweigall film adapted from it, or 8 Ball. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Velvet Club, Dipped in Iron, all those other ones. And this was on everybody's when it comes out, counting down. So I finally read it, and wow, I see what it's about. Again, it's about family is who you make it more than who you're born to. In some instances, I read it in earlier. Monica is the main character, and earlier in the book, a mother, her mom abandons her. And I was like, that could never happen. And then again, that said nefarious villain. I was like, oh my gosh, this does happen. Dan Clowes is he gets it.
The universe.
He gets people. Oh, and well, it's funny you should say that, because this book does get universal in its scope, while still being incredibly intimate. I can say this: it's not like anything you've ever read, but it's kind of like everything everybody you've ever met. The level of humanity in it is stifling at sometimes, because all the good and all the bad that there are in people, he just packs into these 100 pages, and it's not a I don't know, I would say it's a fun read, because I had fun reading it. Like what a crazy thing, because it does what art is supposed to do, and it kind of makes you, the best art makes you try to make sense of horrible things happening. And maybe that's, maybe that is part of some sort of cosmic plan. Maybe it's not, but you're still who you are. So if giving up your child can ultimately, and going and doing something else because you're a terrible mother, if that can ultimately make that daughter better, or at least who she was supposed to be, like maybe it's not so bad. I don't know. I think what people bring out of this is going to be different. Her dad may or may not be, Monica's dad may or may not be the leader of a cult. And I think we can all agree, we can all empathize with that. We've all wondered about our dads. But no, Monica, it's one that you have to read to kind of know. But if you do, you will be very satisfied by the end. It is a very wow, this medium can do anything.
Yeah.
And this is one of the examples when it does. Dan Clowes, I mean, I don't need to sell the guy. He's one of the titans for a reason. So
for sure,
that's my number 4.
I haven't had a chance to read that one yet, but it's on the list as far as my to do. So I'm excited about that one, and now more so. So
good.
Number 3. This is the only instance where on my list I have a duplicate writer / artist, and my number 3 is Do a Power Bomb.
All right.
By Daniel Warren Johnson. So I almost forgot about this because it was very, very early on in the year, and I had to think back, and I had to double check. I was like, that did come out this year. It's just at the beginning of it. Mm-hmm. Do a Power Bomb. So I will say this about, I don't want to say he's got a formula, but thematically, Murder Falcon and Do a Power Bomb.
He's got a
thing. And if you like his thing, and you like his art, which I love, you're just going to like Daniel Warren Johnson's stuff. And Do a Power, I grew up, in the 80s and the 90s, a Friday night with my brother entailed going to the video store, getting WrestleMania, pulling the couch cushions off, the couch, getting Jolt Cola and whatever snacks we could get, and wrestle, right? And that was that you kind of do that, and I kind of grew out of it, right? And then, so I'm not really that into it anymore, but I always have that love. That's where my childhood was, right? And I still have respect for it. And you take this story that Do a Power Bomb in, and it's like that. It is dead serious, but is also otherworldly. Daniel Warren Johnson still has the child's imagination, is what I'm saying. That's what separates him from other people. For all of us, it's beaten out of us as life has gone on, but he has found some way to keep that childlike imagination and then develop the skill set to bridge those things. My 5-year-old is the type of person say, what if the Justice League were dinosaurs? And you go, that's ridiculous.
But then
Daniel Warren Johnson did it.
And that's the same energy brought to Transformers.
Absolute same energy.
It's the perfect marriage. Who was your favorite wrestler as a kid?
Mine was Ultimate Warrior. Because
Ultimate Warrior is awesome. Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah,
loved him. He was my guy.
I was just I don't know, the face paint and all the frills.
I can see him right now.
Yeah. So we had the wrestling, but my brother and I got wrestling buddies. They're the little plush things or whatever. And I remember I had Ultimate Warrior, he had Hulk Hogan, and we'd take them. They were super slick, We'd ride him down the stairs. Like, it was a big part. I mean, we loved that stuff.
I can't remember. We had a who had the boa?
Jake the Snake?
Jake the Snake.
Oh, no, Ric Flair.
No, it was Jake the Snake.
Okay, you're talking about the real snake, not the boa. Okay.
Yeah. Not the feather boa.
Yeah,
Nicely
not the
done.
feather boa.
yeah. And then Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and then of course Macho Man Randy Savage. It was that epoch in WWE.
Bushwhackers.
Oh my gosh. I fell off around the time the first Undertaker was in his prime. Yeah, so I missed the rest of that. But it was but so we had that, and then reading that in Do a Powerbomb. I'm like, I remember how much fun that was.
But it's also so much more than that. Like
just like Murder Falcon
within the very first right.
Yeah,
but it's both. It's on, it's about wrestling, but it's actually about family. Murder Falcon is about metal and, whatever, but it's actually about
rebuilding your life, like
rebuilding your life.
And sometimes like it takes a rock and roll Murder Falcon playing sick guitar to put your life back together.
Sometimes a necromancer.
We've all been there, guys.
Right.
We've all been there. And so imagine this guy writing Transformers, and that's what you got.
Yep.
We don't. Oh, and again, Dead Earth.
Yes.
A Wonder Woman book. So yeah.
But his storytelling, yes, but also his art, because one of my favorite covers so far in Wesley Dodd's Sandman is that cathedral.
Oh my gosh,
the B cover,
great centered in front of the stained glass.
It is insane. Like, man, what a badass!
What a badass!
So my number 3, Do a Powerbomb.
He's terrific.
Go out there and read Do a Powerbomb. Everybody.
Yeah.
There's no good reason not to.
You'll be wanting to pick up whatever he does next.
Yep.
My number 3 then it's a graphic novel. It's called Lights by Brenna Thumler. This is the third in a trilogy of it's 3 books about this family whose the mother died, and the dad doesn't really know how to take care of the girls, and they have they wash they have a laundromat, and they wash clothes for the village, and mom kind of kept it all together, and this girl, she's a teenager, it's already hard enough for her, and then her mom dies, her dad can't really handle it, so then the house is haunted, and they use the sheets from the people that bring their clothes into form. So all these ghosts are flying around, and she becomes best friends with this little boy ghost that died, and that's kind of been the through line. So the first book was called Sheets, the second was called Delicates, and this is called Lights, and this is the last one. And it's about the first one. She befriends a ghost, and kind of learns how to come out of her shell. The second book, Delicates, was she kind of brought her dad out of the shell, and they became like a family unit, and she learned how to be a friend to living people, so now she has a best friend. And then this third one kind of brings it full circle. You can't be friends with a ghost forever, and it's a murder mystery. They're trying to solve who actually killed the little boy. Like, how did he die? Because as a ghost, you forget.
That's cool.
Yeah. And this is one that I read about a month ago, and I remember texting you that I was at the end of it, I was crying like a little kid. Yeah. I was bawling my eyes out. Every one of these books has made me cry, and this one was no different. And it's so high on the list, not just because it's a great book, but for what she's done through these three great books.
Sometimes you have to just give the dues, for maintaining the quality on that.
Absolutely, because Sheets could have been done. It was a very self-contained, and then when she did the second one, I was like, oh, there's more story here. And by this, I was like, bring it on. Right. I couldn't wait. And making it a murder mystery is so like out of what the first 2 were, but it still fits so perfectly. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, read Sheets, and I can guarantee it'll touch your heartstrings, and you'll want to read more. Again, Brenda Thumler writes and draws, and I think this is basically all she's done so far, but it's quite an achievement.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Lights by Brenda Thumler, number 3. What is your 2?
Number 2 is so I'm actually surprised. I was hawing around. Like I disqualified one of my books that put about on this list. Plus, we've talked about it quite a bit before, which was Human Target by Tom King. But for my number 2, it ended. Human Target ended, like issues 11 and 12 came out at the beginning of this year, but I decided to go the route of I wanted Tom King on here because I do like everything, and if I narrow it down, my favorite book he's done this year is Wonder Woman.
Absolutely.
Number 2 is Wonder Woman by Tom King and Daniel Sampier, and that is Zdarsky and Jimenez, incredible team. King and Sampier, it's higher on the list. It's next level.
I don't know. I haven't seen art like this in a comic in years.
I challenge anybody to look at the art in this book and say that each one of these panels doesn't deserve to be a painting somewhere.
He makes Diana look effervescent. He makes her
nuts.
He makes her glow. She's beautiful, but she's also a god at the same time. I don't know how he conveys all that
in a still picture
without words. And we all know how much Tom King likes words.
And
boy, sometimes you got to get out of the way and let Daniel Sampier.
But say in that sense. So in issue number 2, this issue in particular, there's one scene where she's taking a tank just by the turret and slamming it into another tank, which is one thing.
Yes, I did always want to see that.
And it shows the absolute power of this woman. And then there's another part in the same thing where she just walks up to a reception desk at some like big global corporation type spot where you've seen the desk before. It's like that there's marble everywhere and there's like the regular desk, and behind there's probably some video cameras checking things out, and she walks up and she's just like, hi.
I just need to know where to go.
And it is.
And imagine looking up from your ho-hum job and seeing
Diana. And you're right. She is absolutely just glowing. It's not like a weird horny thing. It's not like
no.
What it's not. It's not a.
It's how you've always seen. It's how you've always seen Wonder Woman in your head, and then it's there, and it's like, that's right.
And it's just perfect. It's the essence of it. And I've never seen it done like this. There's action. There is, the story's been fantastic. We're actually now approaching the issues where we're going to work on the Trinity aspect of things. Trinity being the character Trinity, not the.
And now that I see what they're doing with her, I'm way more welcoming to her, and like.
There's the black lasso and everything that's playing into it, and there's some mythology there. It's keeping with it. And I think we are on track to have an all-time Wonder Woman run. Keeps going in this direction.
For the first time, I'm like Greg Rucka had the last great run, and then before that it was George Perez, and I would argue those are the only great or near great runs that they've had, and this could be the defining one.
Simone's stuff wasn't bad.
Oh, Gail Simone's was wonderful, yeah. But this could be great. I hope he gets to tell it. But the sales are there, and the scope of it is very large.
Yeah,
and that's as it should be for a god in the DC canon. So they're in a wonderful bit of kismet. My number 2 is also by Tom King.
Awesome.
This was number 1 for a long time. It kept going back and forth, but ultimately I'm comfortable with where it landed. It is Danger Street by Tom King, and Jorge Fornes does the art in all of them. Again, career work by Jorge Fornes. And this one is written for, if I may be just that guy for a second, this is written for the DC nerds, the ones that just, because if anybody were to pick up this issue off the street, it's like, who are these characters? It's like, that's right, that's correct. That question. They are all in 1975. DC did the
DC Presents.
Yeah, first issue specials from DC Comics, and they did 12 issues, and it was either introducing new characters or reintroducing characters from the Gold and Silver Age that they wanted to feature. So you got the Green Team, you got the Dingbats of Danger Street, you got. Of course, Lady Cop, because it was the 70s, folks. And this deals with it, and then it reintroduces the Creeper, who I absolutely adore. Metamorpho, who I absolutely adore. Got first appearances of both, by the way. Yep. Just I want to drop that in. And Dr. Fate, who
narrates
the entire thing. He is the omnipotent narrator in every sense of the word. But Lady Cop is essentially the protagonist, and he it's just 12 issues, and it brings all these characters into this one coherent story. Warlord and the third Starman, the blue one with red hair, that's how most people know him. They form a bond that's kind of wonderful, and you just see it play out in this very, very small, like they're just all in New York, and things happen, and this handful of characters have to deal with it, and it's just like this corner pocket of the DC universe with characters that like none of those characters, other than Warlord and the ones that they reintroduced, none of the new characters ever made anything. There's not been a Lady Cop ongoing. There's not that. Man, remember that great Green Team comic there was? But this right here gives them all a voice. It gives them all a showcase. And there's one issue, I don't know, I think it's 9, where it's just every page it's a rooftop battle between Manhunter and codename Assassin, and you're like, oh, blah, blah, but it's Tom King, and it's the most Tom King has ever Tom King'd. The entire thing is word bubbles. Every page is 8 panels, and it's a dialectic between the two, and they're talking about the nature of heroes and villains, battle, peace and war, violence, and you're either there for it.
The most Tom King does ever Tom.
It is. He goes hard, and you're either there for it or you're not. I was there for it. It's absolutely wonderful. And by the time that Lady Cop embraces the Lady Copness of it all, you're just. I was just 100%. I was floored by the book. I was floored that he took all these like kind of bad characters and made this brilliant and intimate epic story that deals with all these major issues, all while being in the DC universe. And again, everybody who knows me knows that B, C, and D-list DC characters is where I live. So I love that Dane Street is my number 2, and that can only mean one thing, Craig. I don't know if we're ready for it. But now we've got number 1s. I don't know what yours is. I couldn't possibly.
Shut up.
From it's the guy who who thought Hitler should live. I can't imagine what it could be.
Yeah. So my number 1, anybody that's listened to the podcast, anybody's been in the store, it has not changed. My number 1 is Traveling to Mars by Mark Russell and Roberto Melli.
That's right. Forgot.
It's not taking a wrong turn. In fact, it was along for the ride. It was all the feelings, everything else, up to this point, we've been working towards getting to Mars. Then he actually got to Mars, and you're like, okay, what could there possibly be 4 issues left with? And then there is, and it was delayed, so we're looking at
10 and 11
we're supposed to have
left, right?
Yep, 10 and 11 are still left. We were anticipating the trade paperback to be out in January or February, and now it's looking more like all the issues done by March. However, it'll work out perfectly because also in March, Mark Russell, which I also wanted to do a shout out on this, Space Age, Superman Space Age. Remember that old chestnut?
I thought we were going to save that news.
What? Save what news?
His new book.
It's already been announced. We can announce it.
Yeah, I wanted to announce it.
Oh.
In a fun way.
Anyway.
But March is when that comes out, isn't it?
Yeah,
of course, the sequel to Superman Space Age, Batman Dark Age.
Dark Age. Yep. So that's been announced. Same creative team. So it's Russell.
My favorite living writer writing my favorite living character. It's going to be the best birthday present ever.
And the All Reds are on board. So it's going to be the exact same team, but just the Batman story. So, but coinciding with that, we will have the conclusion of Traveling to Mars, and Mark himself, will say that he thinks it's the best thing he's written. Who am I to disagree? It has been. So
I'm not ready for the end.
I'm not
ready for the wallop that he's got.
There are books that I read at the very beginning because I'm excited and I have to know what's going on, and then Traveling to Mars has to wait till the end for every single time
because it's gonna crush the buildings, man.
It's gonna change me, and it's gonna make other books look pale in comparison.
You can't pick up Green Arrow after you've been changed. You got to wait a day.
Right. So nothing. And again, nothing about other books. He happened to capture magic for me. It's just how it makes me feel. It's an experience. It's not a single issue that comes out. It's not. Traveling to Mars will probably be on all of my lists moving forward for the rest of my life, just because
all the way down to the Stevie Ray Vaughan hat and what is this book but Life by the Drop? Am I right?
Right.
It's a beautiful book by our greatest working comics writer.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
So number 1, Traveling to Mars.
I'm going to say that my number 1 is a companion piece to that spiritually, not in any way you should read the two together. But it is drawn by Steve Pugh, who is worked with Mark Russell often in his career, including the Flintstones. Yes, yeah. And it was written by somebody who one of the great comics writers. I don't think he gets his due. And his humor is almost as good as
Chip Zdarsky?
No, as Mark Russell, when Mark Russell's being... Chip's more blah, ha, ha.
Yeah.
And it's somebody that I met at Chicago C2E2 last year, and he told me that this book was coming out, and I was like, oh, that sounds like it's going to be great. And he looked at me, he's like, oh, it's gonna be great. And he was right. And it's a job book. I mean, it's one that it was clearly an assignment because the HBO series took off in a way that nobody saw coming. And he took this assignment and made it sing. I'm talking about Peacemaker Tries Hard.
Yep.
I think is the best book of the year.
And I was excited for this. I mean, you kind of hinted that this direction it was going, and like, I'm not saying I disagree. I read the first, I think like 2 or 3, and then I got, not that I didn't like it. It was just that I, have a lot of other books, did a lot of other things. It didn't like, I wasn't compelled to keep going. So I really want to hear why this is your number one. Like, I'm excited for this.
So it does what the show did that I don't think anybody saw coming, where it's this guy Peacemaker just he doesn't even want to be loved anymore. That's too much to ask. At this point, he just wants to be liked. Mm-hmm. That's how far down this guy's gone. And somebody who still believes in himself and still believes in his mission, but he can't even get anybody on the phone. And imagine that. Imagine you've given up on any kind of deeper. You just want somebody to hang out with you and not think that you're just just a fuck up.
Yeah.
You want that. And he can't get that. He ends up getting a dog because a dog will love you. And he names the dog Bruce Wayne. And he's still carrying out missions for Amanda Waller. What else is he going to do? And then Bruce Wayne gets kidnapped, and he lets her know. He lets everybody know that Bruce Wayne's been kidnapped, and that is not. That sounds different when nobody knows who he's actually talking about.
He's talking about his dog.
But he ends up getting sorry, I'm going to spoil everything. Gets a parole officer, and the parole officer ends up being the Red Bee, a great little golden age sidekick. He has not been around in comics since the 40s, but here he is, and he's doing Peacemaker's work release, and he comes to see something in Peacemaker that Peacemaker doesn't see in himself. And maybe if Peacemaker did, he wouldn't have to try so hard to get people to like him. Maybe they just would on their own. And that's what it's a book that is constantly hilarious. And that stuff right there, it sneaks up on you in such a way that you're just like, how did you do this? What a high wire act that you didn't realize. You didn't even realize he was on a high wire. And then once it's done, you're just like, how did he do that? How do you do that in 6 issues? It was absolutely terrific. Peacemaker does, and that's the point. Peacemaker tries hard. He tries hard. He's not like Deadshot or Captain Boomerang. He's not a dick. He's not like, oh, blah, 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 I'll go out there and blah, blah. It's like he wants to do a good job. He wants to do a good job for his superiors and for himself, and it's just never enough, and he doesn't know why. And throughout this issue, maybe he starts to get there. Now he's going right back to being now he in DC regular continuity. He's back to being a DC a stooge for Waller. But in this book right here, he's saying in a way that and I have no particular affection for Peacemaker. I saw the fact that he's a Charlton character, and I love all those. Mm-hmm. He was the comedian, right? Was his his lateral?
Sure.
But this right here, I loved him. I mean, like everybody else, it was the great James Gunn movie and show that made me love him. But this right here. He put him up there like you deserve the love that you're getting now. This is a great book, and I can't wait to see what else Kyle Starks does. Kyle Starks is the writer, by the way, bury the lead. But what he did here, I think he pulled off a juggling act, and I hope he gets to write more Peacemaker in the future. But I think it's the best book of the year, and we had some pretty good books on these lists.
Absolutely, I'm satisfied with the list.
So that is the top 10. Everybody, you can put your pencils down.
We're still going to keep going.
Compare notes, see who, compare notes, see who read the most. If you've got ones that you like more, by all means, let us know. I love that. I would love to hear. We would love to hear your top 10 lists. But I think now I would like to, because while we were talking about this before the show, we were like, what if we did like the best issue of the year, the best writer, our favorite writer of the year, and our favorite artist of the year, like who stood out for us. It doesn't have to be like they were the best, but like for us, they did something for us. And I'll just kick it off right now. It wasn't on my list, but it was your number 2, and that is the Wonder Woman run. Wonder Woman issue 2 was the best single issue comic I read this year, and I cannot believe it was astounding. It was astounding. Was it that issue that you were talking about, where she has the tank?
I thought that was. I'm confused now because I've read
it's 2 or 3.
It's 2 or 3.
But it is in 20,
you're talking about the one where everything was a side by side panel of her thinking back.
Yes,
to
and in 23 pages, because it's DC, they encapsulate everything about Wonder Woman that is great, everything that you've you know that you love about her, everything that you've underestimated about her. They encapsulate everything about this character. They distill it down,
justice, she's
into
a warrior.
23 pages,
Yeah.
and it is absolutely astounding. It was an astounding feat, and you can never, Tom King has his haters, and I understand where they're coming from, but he writes stuff like that, and nobody else can. Nobody else can. And so the art was just it's next level. So Wonder Woman 2 by Tom King and Dan Sampier, I got the ratio there, and one day I want to have them sign it and then gush, excitedly about how great of a comic it was.
It's a great book.
Yeah, it's something that's like, after I read that, it's like, wow, he's got to maintain this level now. So no wonder you think it could be one of the great runs.
It's.
But you had an issue of the year.
I do. It is, and I'm. Okay, my issue, and it's because I'm a little weird today because I had a. Anyway, we'll get to that part later. My issue of the year, single issue, was God's number one, Jonathan Hickman, as the writer, and then the penciler is Valerio Schiti. I think Hickman, and we've discussed this earlier today, we've talked about it a lot, is Hickman gets a lot of credit for like world building. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he's actually better at just character interaction.
Just the little moments between.
The little moments. Mm-hmm. And I read this, and I felt instantly within one issue, like they feel like characters that you've known forever. Like, it's just like, oh.
You're being introduced to these new gods in the Marvel Universe. And yes. Say, oh, yeah.
But you feel like I read this questioning if there was something I hadn't read.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what am I missing
writing
here?
Like that? And other writers can do it. We've talked about this. Now I'm not casting aspersions. Simon Spurrier can do it, but it takes so much more work.
Sure.
Jonathan Hickman, in a book that we're going to talk about in a minute, Jonathan Hickman can do it. I won't say effortlessly. He clearly thinks so long and hard. This is hard, but he's got an innate talent. A lot of guys can dunk, but it takes years of work. Sure. Where I think Michael Jordan was probably born with being able to do it.
Sure,
and that's what he is.
Yeah,
but yeah, I got the same thing. Side characters that he introduces in this book.
Absolutely,
and we're like, yeah, him. He's one of my new favorite Marvel characters.
Certainly helped that I feel like the character has total John Constantine vibes.
Yeah, he does.
Which I love. So that's
while still being his own character.
While still being his own character. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's not.
He's not a total dick.
Right.
But he's a dick, and it's great. It's great. He's one of those rogue ne'er-do-well with a heart of gold guys. But also, he's doing all this at the same time. You don't really. He's reorienting the pantheon of gods in the Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. He's doing something so big you don't even notice he's doing it so well. He's doing it so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange is there, and Brother Voodoo is there, and you're just like, oh, it's awesome.
It is awesome.
It's so much fun. That's the thing, like you said earlier about Hickman, he rewards you if you've read it, but not. He doesn't penalize you if you've not, and it's so much fun. A guy who's so smart, and the books are so elegant and elaborate, and have so much in them, but they're so much fun.
Yep.
Which again, and I won't say is always true for a Simon Spurrier or a Tom King even. But with Jonathan Hickman to me has never missed. Not yet.
I don't want to jinx it, so I won't say such things.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But those are two. God's number one, Wonder Woman number two. Those are, I highly suggest that for anybody. I want to do artists next, if we could. I have one that I started talking about. I remember around May, June, I started telling you about her more and more. Somebody I've always loved, but boy, she had a breakout year for me. That is one Tula Lotay.
Yep.
Boy, after it was Barnstormers that I think, I won't say put her on the map. She was doing very successful before that, but boy, what a showcase for her talents. And since then, especially with the recent release of Somna,
yep.
Yeah, which is very good, and her the covers that she does. And she has this a style all her own. It's like somebody like Joelle Jones or Jenny Frison, who you see it and you instantly recognize who it is. And her line work is beautiful. And then that I will say Jenny Frison is my other artist. She's my perennial favorite. I just love the covers that she does. I love the artwork that she does. But no, Tula Lotay though came out of the box for me this year, and I love everything she does. I can't wait to see I can't Somna issue 2. I can't wait.
Yeah. And that's
She's
from a writing
easily mine.
standpoint. That could be on a list. I mean, the problem with those books is
very good.
It's just like, there's an issue and you're like, that's why, like I said, but Beneath the Trees only having 2. It's like you can introduce an idea, and then how much work is my imagination doing as compared to what's actually written?
They're trying to get distillery. They're trying to get it off the ground. Whereas IDW, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, mine is.
Is it Joelle? I didn't mean to steal.
No. I mean,
Joelle should be everybody's all the time.
She's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to bother. As far as like this year making me take notice, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is definitely been. What's his Villalobos?
Oh my gosh! Duh.
I mean, like,
duh. That should have been that would be on mine too.
Hughes.
Yes.
He's got those. I mean, that's cover obviously.
It is so close to Hughes, but still completely his own
thing.
Yeah, he's really towing a line.
And it's been on like fun stuff. Like, there was like the Nort's swimsuit special.
Absolutely.
Like that book went nuts.
He drew the best Kyle Rayner I've ever seen.
Right.
The best Kyle Rayner I've ever seen.
So, and it's not, how some of those, like Hughes, when you see Hughes draw a guy, you're like, oh, I'm disappointed. not in a bad way,
but it's like,
but
okay,
I mean,
yeah,
you're like,
that's fine.
It's obviously, the female form is
That's not what we're here for. Yeah,
right. So, but I feel like Villalobos is like it's equal parts. Like he can do both, and I'm excited with whatever.
Villalobos and Frank Cho, where it's like when you see their mail, it's like, oh, that's fantastic too.
Right.
Yeah. But Villalobos and Pablo Villalobos, and he's one that I've decided I'm going to buy every cover he does.
Yep.
It is terrific. What did I just get from him? The one I keep. I probably
the
that
Sweater
Doctor
Weather
Strange, Clea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then the Sweater Weather's coming out. Yeah. But that's great.
Yep. That's what I mean. My actual answer as far as interiors is Sam Peer, but we've already gone on and on and on.
Interiors is it's hard to argue with that.
I can't think of anything else this year that just made me go, what? And that is, but Joel hadn't done any interiors that I'm aware of this year.
And this is not to say like, our usual favorites like Dan Mora and Fiona Staples, and my beloved Terry Moore aren't doing, like, everybody's still doing great work.
I meant to go back and even say it.
Should have been, I should have thought of that.
I
am so enamored with his covers lately.
It's amazing.
And he also has ideas, so like the graphic design is already good.
Yep.
Yeah. And then writer of the year. Now this is tough, and this is one that I just kind of came, seat of my pants type thing, because I hadn't really thought of it going throughout the year. But I think, why mess with it? We have not mentioned a lot of things. We've not mentioned James Tynion in any way, and he did so much great work this year.
World Trees should be on my list somewhere.
Jeff Lemire finished Little Monsters, and Bone Orchard Tenement is terrific, and Fish Flies is just making me feel all the feels every week. It's been a great year for comics, I'm just going to settle on some easy ones, but I feel very comfortable with them. One is the aforementioned Tom King. I think he had a banner year between finishing Human Target, between Danger Street, and then Penguin coming out of the gate, and then starting Wonder Woman. Like, you can't argue that the body of work that he's put together just this year, and this is a guy who's like a known quantity. He can do whatever he wants. He's not resting on his laurels.
Yeah.
This is an incredible body of work. And then the greatest writer alive, Mark Russell, between Second Coming, Traveling to Mars, and Rumpus Room. And then now we have Batman Dark Age to look forward to. There's really no way can't argue with that. But I mean, you can make it the same. You can make the argument for Chip. You can make the argument for a lot of people. Well, actually, I won't even say who.
Button Johnson in that list for me now.
And Daniel Warren Johnson,
that
absolutely, for art and writing.
I've got to put him on there. He's
this
the only
guy
person
busted
I've got
out
twice.
Especially after doing Do a Powerbomb, which was like so well reviewed and so well received. It's like, what are you going to do next? And then it does Transformers. Like, oh, you can keep it going. You can. You're not a flash in the pan. God, I bet he could draw a great flash in the pan. He's great.
He is. I'm disappointed. I mean, I know at some point he's dropping off Transformers. I don't know if it's an issue 8 thing.
How can you keep that up?
I have no idea.
Writing and drawing a book sounds insane on a month-to-month basis.
I'm really hoping that they can capture and follow that up with the magic still. So, yeah, I had a great time reading comics in 2023. These lists are always tough to do. I know there's stuff I'm forgetting. I know there's definitely... And
everybody except mine's are subjective. So it's like whatever order you want them to be in. Whatever's on yours. I mean, a lot of people would have had X-Men on theirs, and we did not touch on X-Men. X-Men had a huge year. It's just you gotta follow it. I read a little bit of Sins of Sinister and I liked it. I just there's a lot and.
Well, I mean, on my list, just throw more out. I love Moon Knight. Moon Knight was absolutely
Jed
fantastic.
McKay.
McKay's killing
another breakout star. I read his Black Cat this year, and fantastic.
Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Oh boy,
action comics.
His action, his Warlord, his Superman Warlord saga was he brought back Spartacus mixed with. They kind of touched on that in the 90s. What's the guy's name? Mongol.
Yep.
And the War World thing, and he just made it. He made it this whole epic, and that's the guy that coming off of The Last God or False Spear Chronicles, whatever you want to call it. But this guy is a world builder. Now he's doing Green Lantern War Journal, which is a great book.
Which is a fantastic.
John
book.
Stewart's is deserved it, and he kept Action Comics going terrifically. And now he finished his run on that, and it's going to hand off to Jason Aaron.
But that's temporary, though. Even
the
Jason Aaron stuff is he might be going. Johnson might be coming back. I'm not positive on that one, but Johnson was writing Aliens.
And he was writing 007 for Dynamite, and it was terrific. It would be a great blueprint to for the future movies.
Yeah. So we could go on and on. Like, what was I going to say? What else? I said Moon Knight. I already covered. I said Action. Yeah.
Chip's Daredevil.
Chip's Daredevil,
which ended just a few months ago, and ended strong, and adds to the streak of great runs of that of my favorite Marvel character, Daredevil.
It's been fantastic. A great book for indies. You know, like we haven't really talked about it. I think we've got a episode plan coming up as far as Boom as a publisher.
Boom had a great year.
Kept it going. Something That's Killing the Children. It's maintained. It's it's not like it doesn't deserve to be on here. I think when I think list, I think of something that's like either started or finished in that year that is like the story is complete. And it's not that Something That's Killing the Children is not lacking in any way, shape, or form.
No,
we're only halfway through.
It's up there with Ice Cream Man and Saga for me, where it's like, yeah, they just stay good. I'll take notice of them more when they turn bad.
Right.
So it's hard to put them on a list, but like for all intents and purposes, Saga and Ice Cream Man also should be on this list. But
sure, Swan Songs in the same way that it's
that
like
came out of nowhere.
It's the same creative team, but it's thematic in the same way.
I
It's
finally read Art
endings.
Brutes, and because the first issue I didn't care for, and then I finished. It's only 4 issues, and it was terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this M. Maxwell Prince and Mazzarella, something like that. It's a great creative team, one of the best. But Ice Cream Man, I'll still carry a torch for. So, what are you looking forward to most in 2024 from comics?
Well, this is, and we kind of alluded to it. I think all the way up through all of this. So
now is the time.
So from a shipment standpoint, we actually received. This is Friday, January 5th of 2024. Today on the truck was Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman, and how do you pronounce his last name? The artist Cecchio.
Oh, Cicchetto.
Mark
Cicchetto.
Good Lord, read this book. Read it. Just read it. It is. I came into work today in the absolute best mood of all time, and then I read this, and it was even better. This is an absolute knockout, and I cannot wait to see where it goes.
This was it is the best Spider-Man single issue that I've read in years. I can't remember. Chip wrote an annual like 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best one since then. And he doesn't do like me and Craig. He didn't recreate the wheel.
Nope.
And even if you did, it would still be round. He keeps everything there. He keeps everything there. Kind of. He does. There's a few interesting things because he's
it's not a first appearance book. Yeah, it's not any of that stuff.
He
but
doesn't
it's the first time you've met.
But he's not a slave to continuity. Because it's the Ultimate Universe. And again, this is Jonathan Hickman coming off of everything he's came off of. And he was. I'll spill some tea here. He was going to go to DC. DC wants him, and he has stories for DC. And Marvel got him back somehow. I don't know. We don't know what the numbers are, but you have to imagine he had carte blanche, and he did Ultimate
single
God's
character.
Ultimate Invasion, and then this is the first time that he's written. And he said he wouldn't write one character again, and now he is, and it's Spider-Man. So everybody who's been waiting for the great Spider-Man book, it's here.
Yep. And so you'll be listening to this on Monday. This releases Wednesday, folks, and go and get it.
There are some extra in the shop.
Yep, extra in the shop.
But they're going to go quick because this book is hot.
So
if it stays like this, it will be the Ultimate Spider-Man.
absolutely. Beyond that, Chip Zdarsky has Avengers Twilight coming next week. So
As well as the return of Public Domain.
absolutely.
So Chip's got a big year, and I think there's something in the pocket for him because he's not. It's because Captera's ending and Newburn is, I think it's going to end this year. So it's like, what do you have coming up? Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips have another book coming out later this year.
It was accidentally
posted and then pulled, and I should have written down. And then me, I'm looking forward to more than anything. Again, it's Mark Russell writing Batman Dark Age.
Yep.
My favorite character written by my favorite writer. And I hope that means that one day he'll finish his Trinity with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And who knows what that could be. So if 2024 is half as good as 2023 was for comics, then we're gonna be great. I told Craig I've been Jones for 2024. I have a great feeling about it, just on all cylinders. Yeah, and the people that are out of town, they don't know, but we the shop's been completely redone. It looks great. We got a new gaming space. It's great. The energy is just here. The winds at our backs, and I think it's gonna be a great year.
I completely agree, and I think that. This week already. We're already in 2024. I forget. Vengeance of the Moon Knight, talking about the aforementioned Jed McKay.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight was terrific.
So
again, a book that was so popular. Like, well, let's renumber it.
So I guess what I'm looking forward to is I want Marvel to make good on all this excitement I've got going on.
Seriously, Marvel, because outside of X-Men, there's nothing that I really.
I'm excited about that too. We're around the corner. Not that I want to say goodbye to Krakoa, but we are around the corner.
A new creative direction
to
another jumping on point.
Having a jumping on point for X-Men.
Because for the first time in X-Men's history, it is convoluted. Yeah, it's just a lot.
I know there's the sarcasm there, but in all fairness, it's one of the most difficult times to jump in.
I picked up Immortal and X-Men read the first 7 or 8 of each, and they were very good. Al Ewing is a very good writer, but it's so much right now.
If it's been a while, you're like, why are they on Mars?
Yeah, it's just so much. And again, it's like directing a movie. It's like directing a sequel to a Spielberg movie. He wants to pick up after Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah, I mean. There's that. I mean,
you end up with Jurassic Park 3,
Sure.
But on the whole, I think we're in a good spot for comics. I think the shop's in a great spot, and I think it's going to be a heck of a year.
We're looking forward to being back on the podcast and talking with everybody on a weekly basis. So here's the 2023 being wrapped up,
and to a great 2024.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.